It's nice to have two complex female characters who are going head to head, but also have so much respect and admiration for each other. Because normally when women are pitted against each other, they're trying to take each other down, and they really they almost got off on how good the other one was, which I enjoyed. I think that's cool, and that speaks to Paul. He does that in all of his films, I think.
Well, if anything, I sort of felt like I had an uphill battle, because there were definitely days when I was like, Paul, I can't be this annoying and be in the entire movie. Characters that are this irritating are usually supposed to be like the neighbor that you hate in Gone Girl. I guess I just tried to kind of show some growth and some humanity for her as the movie went on.
First off, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I hope you don't take offence to this, but when I came out of the movie, the first thing I thought of was Naked Gun. I don't know why, but just I guess
I love that. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, there we go. It's a good starting point then. But just in terms of the way that it was put together, for some reason, it just reminded me of how those movies are. I mean, is that a silly thing to say, or
no? I mean, I just want to create a movie that people have a lot of fun at, and I love the thriller genre, and I tried to be as slavish to the thriller genre as I can first and foremost, but then once you kind of lay that base and you take that seriously, there's no reason why you can't have fun stuff going on top of it, because it's inherently absurd, some of these stories, and I want the audience to go like, look, we know this is nuts, and the filmmakers know this is nuts too. They're taking it seriously, but they're also going like, look, if you feel like laughing, you should laugh, because we know that what we're showing you is going to make you laugh because it's so nuts.
But I mean, not to say it's a comedy, because there is real thriller aspects to it. I mean, this was something that I think you wanted to do for a while. Was this something that you almost did before, or did you kind of want to work up?
Well, it's a genre I wanted to do, but it was a script that came in. I mean, I found it, then I jumped off to do another project that then fell apart, and so I jumped right back onto this. But I, in general, have been looking to do a thriller, but it's the one genre I wasn't quite sure how to write from scratch. So once the script came in, I was like, oh, there it is. That's the one I can do. But if it had been just like a straight thriller, I wouldn't have taken it. It was the fact that Anna Kendrick's character just had the potential for being funny and also just so relatable. I mean, it's very similar to the lead characters in all my movies, which is it's always like some undervalued person who everybody else, kind of thinks they know and they really don't, and then they get to shine through the arc that they go through.
Both your characters are very specific looks. Blake, can you tell us about the inspiration behind Emily's exceptionally unique and stylish outfits?
Well, Paul Feig, our director, if you've seen him, you can see the inspiration. I just, thought that there was nothing more distinct and iconic and almost like a caricature of oneself than Mr. Paul Feig. So it was sort of easy, and it was actually funny. On the day of my first costume fitting, he showed up to check in on how it was going, and we were wearing the same outfit. We didn't mean to, which was pretty incredible. We've actually had some awkward moments on this press tour. We've shown up to an event wearing the same outfit, not meaning to. Pretty great.
I guess it's great for a director as well to play with audience expectations, not just in the movie, but in your own, because obviously Bridesmaids have been hugely successful. It must have been great to think, I'm going to make this movie now, and then see what people think of it.
But that's what I like about genres, because you have this set of tropes that everybody knows, so then you can take those and turn them and make them your own or subvert them, so they're going to come in with, people are going to come with expectations, and you get to play with it, but in a way that then can hold up when they watch it over and over. Once they've seen it the first time and know what we're going for, then there's more fun to be found. My goal is always make movies that you could watch over and over again.
What challenges did this one present? Because obviously in one of your last movies you made Ghostbusters, which is a huge multi-million-dollar movie, going back to this, which I guess was slightly less budget.
Less, yes.
I mean, was there challenges in doing that, and also the genre? Did it give you a massive fresh challenge as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was very pure filmmaking, just because it was almost all practical locations. A lot of the scenes are very long, so it's almost kind of like a play. So it's really about the actors and their interactions and how they're performing this, and me getting the tone right and where we can find to bring them up and down. But yeah, I mean, it was so much fun. I think I had more fun making this movie than I might have had on any of my other movies, and I always have fun on all my movies.
You've been a great director of casting. I mean, some of your casts have just been so impressive. This one particularly as good with Blake and Anna. I mean, when you were starting with this one, was it them that immediately came to mind, or was it kind of a process and you got to them?
Well, I mean, it was. I had heard pretty early on that Blake was aware of the project and had an interest in that role, and also had been wanting to work with me. So she was the first one I met with, and I remember thinking it would be such a great idea, but I wanted to hear kind of what her take was. And the minute we sat down, I mean, within 5 minutes, it was just like we were so in sync. Because I was like, "Do you want to go for this?" She's like, "I want to really go for it." And then Anna, we've been trying to figure out something to do for a few years, and as we were looking at the script, it's like, this is the perfect role for Anna, because she can pull off the comedy and the lovability of this character, but also she's such a good actress that we can then take her into all these other shades of the character that people won't be expecting.
One of my favourite moments in the film is when you were singing MOP's Ante Up in the Car.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Really going for it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that one of the life's pure joys is singing in the car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do either of you have a favourite car karaoke song?
I don't know. There was a period where I really enjoyed like singing a lot, not because of the name thing, but I did enjoy singing Kendrick Lamar in the car and feeling like truly badass, because the car, when you're blaring hip hop, is the only place that I can feel truly badass. And then somebody pulls up next to you and you're suddenly like, just listening to some NPR, I'm just learning about politics.
Oh, I'm pretty terrible at All I Want for Christmas Is You in the car. It's really great. And no one knows because you're in the car, so you feel like Mariah.
You've obviously we just spoke about the kind of movies that you've made and the budgets you've had. Are you a filmmaker that's kind of pro going to Netflix or against Netflix and what they're doing, or Amazon even?
Yeah, I mean, I've got no problem with any of the streaming services. I mean, it's all about where you can get a project made. I personally am always wanting to have an experience in a big theater with a full audience. But it depends. We just produced, my company just produced a movie that for Netflix that another director did. Jen Robinson did this thing called Someone Great with Gina Rodriguez. And it's great. It's perfect for that. It's perfect for Netflix. But I think it would work great in a theater. But I don't separate them out too much. I mean, again, you're just telling stories. But, you know, the greedy thing is nothing more fun than having it in a theater with, hundreds of people watching at the same time.
Yeah, I come to Netflix because obviously they've just announced, or they've just shown a trailer for the Sabrina show, which I used to watch when I was a teenager, which you were in.
I know, nobody called me. Mr. Poole is available to play Dark.
But I mean, it's one of those properties, I think, where it was obviously dark and they made it lighter for the show. But could you ever see in those days a dark one? Because I guess in the 90s it wasn't.
You didn't even consider it back then, but I think it's a genius idea. I mean, when I heard they were going to do that, I was like, yes, of course. Part of me was like, shoot, why didn't I think of that?
I just wanted to touch on Ghostbusters because, I mean, there was all this fan stuff, which I know you spoke about before, but has that put you off doing big movies? Because I can imagine as a filmmaker, the landscape now is that there's so many big kind of comic book movies and all these kind of movies.
I loved doing Ghostbusters. It was really fun, and I like doing the big movies, but I like doing the small ones. It all depends on the material. Like if the material's there and the idea is there, then big or small, it's super fun. But it's just two different toolboxes you're working with.
And you are obviously quite high in demand as a filmmaker. I mean, have you picked your next project or projects? Because you're on your IMDb page and you're one of those filmmakers that has about 20 different ones.
I know.
Like, which one is that?
Somebody's got to clean that page out because there's a lot of inaccuracy on there. But, I'm actually moving to London right now because I'm going to shoot a movie starting in November that Emma Thompson wrote called Last Christmas. And it's going to be It's a Wonderful Life meets Love Actually, meets Bridget Jones. Great script. And Emma's going to produce it with my company, and we're very, very excited about it.
Is that the Mindy Kaling?
No,
that's something different.
They did that.
Right, I'm getting confused.
No, this is a new one. This is
Emma Thompson's pretty. I've met her a couple of times. She's amazing.
What an honor. I was supposed to direct the Mindy Kaling one, and then there was a scheduling issue, so I fell off that. But through that process, Emma and I became very friendly, and so one day in my inbox, this email pops up from Emma, like, "Hey, I wrote the script," and I read it and just like I loved it so much. I was actually heading towards doing another film and jumped off that because I just wanted to do this one so much, and it's a real love letter to London. So I'm very excited to get a shoot here.
I loved how the film deals with some poignant themes surrounding motherhood, and it deals with it interestingly and really entertaining as well. What do you admire about how these women and their choices are represented on screen?
Just amazed when a person can manage to not get their child killed. God, I mean, the kids that we were working with, I was like, they're just like trying to kill themselves. It's like actively, it's like Darwin is at work here. We should just let them run into traffic if they want to die that badly. So props to mothers, because I don't have kids, but the fact that you keep them alive at all is a shock.
Yeah, I'm not really taking parenting tips from Stephanie and Emily. I think that they're like not the most admirable mothers, but boy, they both love their children.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh? Hey You Guys. Is that from the Goonies? Nice.
Hey